Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer.
Today, we're
Have you ever
unpacking
felt
the
like
source
there
text
just
that is
literally
going to
isn't enough
challenge
time?
everything you
Or,
think you know about
maybe that you're
reality,
constantly
about
running on this
consciousness,
invisible
and
treadmill,
maybe most
always
importantly,
moving away
about
from your
time.
past, kind of
We're
struggling
diving
through
into
the
excerpts from
present,
this
and just
incredibly
desperately trying to
thought-provoking
reach
piece
some
called The
distant future?
Quantum
Well,
Mystic,
today
Mastery of
we are
Nonlinear
unpacking a
Awareness.
really fascinating concept from our source material, the quantum mystic. We're going to explore what it actually means to step entirely out of linear time. And as you'll see, physicists, neurobiologists, and modern mystics are completely reimagining our relationship with reality. It's wild stuff.
There's this incredibly powerful quote from the text that perfectly anchors this whole idea. It says, "To live beyond time is not to escape it, it is to see through it." And right off the bat, that challenges a huge assumption we all have, right? I mean, we usually think of time as this tyrant, a rigid boss that dictates our schedules, ages our cells, the whole shebang. But what if time is actually more like a texture? What if the goal isn't to just run away from worldly ambitions or somehow magically stop the clock, but to actually dance with time's mutability, to step into a space where we're living with time in a really fluid, relational way? Okay, I want to drop you right into the deep end here with a completely mind-bending question. What if your future is influencing your present right now?
And ultimately,
just let that sink in for a second.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1.
We are so deeply conditioned to believe that cause always precedes effect.
Taking us.
Yesterday created today, and today creates tomorrow. It's just how the world works, right?
Our culture
Well, the sources we're exploring today suggest something radically different.
It points in
They
one
suggest that
direction,
the reality you
forward.
are stepping into
Goes from your
might
birth
actually
in the
be
past
actively
to the daily
pulling you
grind of the
toward
present,
it.
straight
So,
toward death.
Section
in the
1, time,
The text points
cage
out we're
or
so
code.
deeply conditioned
To
view
even
this
begin
progression
to
as fixed
understand
and
how the
completely
future could
inescapable.
possibly pull us
We're
forward,
basically just
we first
trudging
need to
down this
look at
linear
our own
corridor,
cultural
feeling like
assumptions.
passive passengers
Let's start
on a
with the
train whose
classical
brakes
view
have
of time.
totally failed.
It's basically
But
an
the authors
inescapable
completely
era.
redefine time by
Point 1
contrasting
is
two
birth,
very
decades
distinct
ago.
worldviews.
Point 2
On
is
one
the
hand,
now,
you have the
today.
old paradigm,
And point
right?
3
Time as a
is death,
substance, a cage,
decades
a fixed
ahead.
arrow.
Tick,
But on the other
tock,
hand, you have the new
tick,
paradigm.
tock.
Time as a code.
Our culture teaches us that this timeline is fixed. It's like a straight, narrow corridor. You trudge forward through it, step by step, and whatever happens behind you is locked away forever. Whatever is ahead of you, well, that's just a blank slate you have to wait to arrive at. In this model, you are fundamentally just a passive traveler.
But the quantum mystic view, it completely shatters that rigidity. Rather than being a fixed cage or some linear corridor, time is viewed as a relationship. It moves in nested spirals. It's a fluid ocean. It's a mutable code. And think about the irony here. The very thing we thought was trapping us, time, is actually described by these thinkers as an interactive medium. Instead of a straight line trapping you in fate, time repeats in patterns across atomic processes and planetary shifts. And recognizing those repeating spirals, that alerts us to choice points. Suddenly, you aren't just a passenger stuck in the cage. You're an active navigator reading a living code.
Okay, let's dive right into this next part. Section 2, the physics of the future.
Instead,
let's ground all of this in some truly staggering concepts, because this isn't just nice poetry, it's theoretical physics. We're synthesizing three main thinkers who are championing this new view. First up, Greg Braden proposes fractal time, emphasizing those nested spirals we just touched on. Then we have Dean Radin, who draws from quantum physics to tackle the concept of real magic, which is the idea that intention and consciousness influence probability, meaning, the future can actually influence the present. And finally, Rupert Sheldrake brings us morphic resonance. He proposes that memory isn't just locked in your brain, but exists in fields that transcend time and space. Though the past is always with us, and future potentials actively call to us.
Well, according to the
So
text,
the absolutely crucial point here is how we actually interact with this reality. Greg Braden refers to this as the divine matrix. It's a living, fully interactive field of consciousness. And here is the major takeaway. It listens and responds to the frequency of our awareness and our emotions. In this matrix, your feelings are not just private, internal little thoughts. They are actual architectural instructions that you're issuing to the universe. Emotion is literally the language that shapes this field. To collapse time and accelerate something you desire, it's not enough to just intellectually want it. You absolutely must feel the future as real before you see it. And that dovetails perfectly into Rupert Sheldrake's concept of morphic attractors. These are future potentialities that exert a tangible, real influence on the present. This completely upends classical linear causality. I mean, it suggests that reality is shaped just as much by what hasn't happened yet as by what has. The future actively calls to us, and that shapes the conditions of our now. To live beyond time, as our source text puts it, is to actively respond to that call from the future, rather than just endlessly reacting to the echoes of your past.
Moving
right along, Section 3, the neurobiology of the now.
You might be sitting there wondering, okay, this is fascinating physics, but how does this apply to me on a random Tuesday?
field.
Well, the source text introduces the teachings of Joe Dispenza, who beautifully distills this into a practical physical practice, treating the body as a tuning fork. If you want to quantum jump into an alternate version of your life, you need emotional and energetic consistency. You literally have to train your nervous system to experience the future emotionally before it unfolds. Because the longer your body can hold the frequency of that desired future, the more inevitable its arrival becomes. It's not some cosmic reward system. It's simply a reflection of the frequency your body is broadcasting.
And this brilliantly illustrates how these metaphysical concepts are grounded in actual hard brain science. Psychiatrist Daniel Siegel maps this out through what he calls the faces flow. This is a state of a coherent mind that is flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, and stable. Siegel's neuroscience backs up this mystic vibration idea by showing that when we practice mindfulness, return to the now, and dissolve that illusion of past and future, we actually achieve real temporal integration. Navigating impermanence with grace stops being just this lofty spiritual virtue and actually becomes a measurable neurobiological trait right inside your brain.
Which brings us to section 4, becoming a living oracle.
So, how do we actually stabilize this multidimensional perception to achieve tangible timeline mastery? Because you can't just understand this conceptually, you have to inhabit it. The source material outlines a daily alignment process for this. Step 1 is meditation. This is where you bring yourself back to the present and completely dissolve the illusion of past and future. Step 2 is visualization. This is using that body as a tuning fork idea we talked about, feeling the future as totally real in your body right now. And step 3 is energetic coherence. That means stabilizing that frequency in states of joy or peace, so you stop defaulting to past wounds or future anxieties. What's incredibly important to note here is that Radin and Sheldrake suggest this is not just a solipsistic, personal power grab. Consciousness is entangled. It's not isolated. We are all participants in one massive, unified field. When you achieve personal coherence, when you stabilize your own joy and peace, you provide a literal resonance point for everyone else. You actually help shift the collective morphic reality. So timeline mastery is ultimately an act of planetary service. Your personal transformation is planetary stewardship. It's huge. When you live this way, a totally new self emerges. And the text captures this transition beautifully with this climactic quote. You stop chasing signs and begin emitting them. I absolutely love that. This is exactly what it means to be a living oracle of your own path. You are no longer just a passive traveler waiting around for the universe to tell you what to do. You are an active navigator, aligned with the field of infinite possibility, and you're emitting the very frequency that reality reorganizes itself around. Ultimately, living beyond time means you stop measuring your life in months and years, and you start measuring it in moments of resonance. You trust your intuitive knowing. You radiate from your center. And in this center, everything meets. The trauma you've healed, the timelines you've collapsed, the incredible visions you hold for your future. They all coalesce right here, right now, in your immediate presence. Because the now is quite literally the only place where creation actually happens. Which brings us to our final thought for today. The ultimate invitation of all this material isn't to master time as some sort of control tactic, but to become so attuned to the pulse of possibility that you become the changeless within the change. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you ready to stop moving linearly from past to future and instead dissolve into the beautiful, resonant intelligence that dances right beneath it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
you for watching. If something in this resonated with you, then you're already closer than you think. If you're ready to go deeper, there's a link below to my book, Quantum Manifestation: How to Collapse Time and Shift Timelines. This isn't theory. It's a framework you can actually use. Tap the link below and step into it.